You hear these stories all the time, right? People who build incredible fortunes seemingly out of nowhere, and you just have to wonder, was it all just luck? Well, what if it wasn't? What if there's an actual repeatable formula? Today, we're going to break down the algorithm of wealth, a 4-act guide to hitting that 7-figure mark. So, let's just dive right in with the big question. Is getting rich just about being in the right place at the right time? Is it just a lottery ticket that a lucky few get to cash in? That's the exact idea we're going to take apart piece by piece right now. And the answer, flat out, is no. Becoming a millionaire is almost never an accident. It's a deliberate process. You got to think of it less like magic and more like engineering. It's a system that has both financial parts and, maybe more importantly, psychological parts that you have to build. And that leads us perfectly into Act 1, the mental reconfiguration. See, before you even think about making a single dollar, the most important work has to happen right up here, in your head. The foundation for wealth isn't money, it's your mindset. Okay, so look at this. This slide really boils everything down to one fundamental choice. Over on the left, you've got the consumer mindset. That's the hamster wheel, right? You work to make money just so you can buy stuff. But on the right, that's the investor. They're not buying stuff, they're buying assets. They work to buy things that will make more money for them later on. It seems like a small shift, but believe me, it changes absolutely everything. So how do you actually build that investor mindset? Well, it really stands on 3 core pillars. First up, delayed gratification. This one's tough. It means as you start making more money, your lifestyle stays the same. For a while anyway. Second, calculated risk. This isn't about being reckless. It's about understanding that the biggest risk in life is often doing nothing at all. And third, continuous learning. And this one's a kicker. The research shows that future millionaires spend about an hour every single day learning. You have to build up your knowledge before you can build up your bank account. Okay, so you've done the work, you've rewired your brain, and you're thinking like an investor. Now what? Well, that brings us to Act 2, the scalable vehicle. You need an engine. You need something that can actually generate the kind of income that leads to real wealth. And this right here, this is the whole game. A scalable vehicle is just a fancy way of saying you have to find a way to separate your income from your time. Because let's be honest, you can't trade hours for dollars and expect to become a millionaire. It's just not possible. There are not enough hours in the day. You need a system that can make money for you even when you're sleeping. So what do these vehicles actually look like? Well, there are 3 main roads you can take. First, entrepreneurship. Find a big problem that lots of people have and solve it. Second, high-value sales. Get really, really good at selling products or services that have a big price tag and big profits. And third, intellectual property. This is the classic build it once, sell it forever model. Think about software, an online course, a book, you get the idea. So, you've got the mindset. Check. You've got the vehicle. Check. Now we enter Act 3, and this is where the real acceleration starts. This is where the magic happens. The magic of capitalization. I'm sure you've heard this quote before, right? It's famous for a reason, because it's true. It is the force of nature that can turn tiny acorns into giant oak trees. And in this act, it's all about putting that force and the power of leverage to work for you. And this slide shows exactly how it's done. See, wealthy people don't just use their own resources, they use leverage. First, you have financial leverage. That's using other people's money from banks or investors to make bigger moves than you could on your own. Then you've got technological leverage. This is about building systems, code, algorithms, an army of digital workers that are on the job 24/7 and don't ask for a salary. That is serious power. So what happens when your vehicle starts spitting out profits? Time to celebrate? Not yet. In the early stages, that money isn't yours. As you can see here, a massive chunk of it, we're talking 85%, gets poured right back into the engine. You have to feed the beast. This is how you fuel that compounding and make it really take off. All right, this all sounds great in theory, but now we gotta get real. We have to talk about the part that nobody likes to talk about, but it might be the most important act of all. Welcome to Act 4, the barrier of resilience. I want you to burn this term into your memory, the valley of the death, because everyone goes through it. It's this long, painful, frustrating period. Sometimes it lasts for years, where you are working harder than you have ever worked in your life, and you have almost nothing to show for it. This is the point where most people quit, right when they're on the verge of a breakthrough. And this chart, man, it just shows you how brutal that valley is. Just look at the difference. Your effort is completely maxed out at 95%, but the results you can actually see, they're down at a measly 5%. To get through this phase, you need more than just motivation. You need an almost irrational level of faith in the process. And this quote right here, this is the key to surviving. We are obsessed with getting quick results, with what we can do in 1 year. But real, life-changing wealth isn't built in a year. It's built over a decade. If you can just zoom out and adopt that 10-year perspective, you'll have the resilience to push through the valley. So after the mindset shift, after building the vehicle, after capitalizing on it, and after surviving that brutal test of resilience, what do you actually have? What's the real prize? Well, we've finally arrived at the final transformation. And here it is. This is the ultimate point of this entire algorithm. The journey isn't really about getting a number in a bank account. It's about who you become along the way. The process forces you to transform into a person who has the discipline, the vision, and the skills to not just get $1 million, but to create and manage it. The money is just the byproduct. It's just the receipt that proves you changed. So the real question is, who are you willing to become?